Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to draw the orthogonal symbol in Illustrator. Details for drawing the orthogonal symbol are on page 23 of your Vika Technical Drawing Specs. So I've already created one here so you know where we're heading, but I'm just going to drop it over there and start again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw these circle parts. And Vika tells us that they need to be 8 millimeters in diameter, the smaller one, and 16 for the outside one. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool, just remembering if it isn't there, it's click and drag on that corner and you'll find it in the tool set. So if I just click on my page, it brings up my little pop-up and I can choose the dimensions of my circle. I'm going to just change that to 8 by 8 because it's a proper circle. And then I'm going to do a second one at 16 millimeters. Okay, once I've done that, go back to my selection tool and I'm just going to click and drag until they intersect. Alright, so the next step, I'm going to drag down some guides to align with the tops and bottom of both of my circles as accurately as I can. And then Vika tells me that for the next part, the sort of cone section, this little bit here, I need to space it 8 millimeters from my circle. So I'm going to drag my 0 mark to align with that edge of my circle, and then I can drag in a guide and drop it at exactly 8 millimeters. The cone itself, this bit here, needs to be 16 millimeters from there to there, so another guide, and I'm just going to put it there so that that's 16 millimeters. So then the next step is to get my pen tool, and I'm just going to draw in my cone using the guides to help me make it perfect. And if I click off, make sure that I have a stroke selected. Alright, now if I turn my guides off, you'll see that I've got my circles and my cone perfectly positioned. Alright, so the next step is to add the dot dash line, which indicates the center of the circle and then the center line of this cone section. And to do it, I'm going to, I'll turn my guides back on. I'm going to go in, I can use the Illustrator function to make sure that I've got it in the center. I'm just going to draw a line, doesn't really matter what length it is, as long as it extends either side of your symbol. And then with it selected, I'm going to go over here. Because it is a center line, it needs to be thinner than the other lines. So I'm going to go in and change the point size. Not quite sure what happened to my line then. I'll draw it again. With it selected, I'm going to go over here, change this to 0.3. We know that the hidden details and center lines need to be about 1/3 the weight of the full details. And then to turn it into this chain link, I'm going to use my stroke menu. So I'll just go over here and select this. Otherwise you can find it up here under Window. And I'm going to go here and check the dashed line box And then I'm going to put some measurements in some of these boxes so that I know that I can create this part here perfectly where I have my center line intersecting with the center of the circle. So to do that, I'm going to type in, I'm going to change it to millimeters because that's how I know I'm going to get it perfect. I'm going to type in 8 millimeters and then 2 millimeters, and 2 millimeters. I don't need to worry about putting any more details in here, but what I do need to do is make sure that I have this first rectangle selected. What it's going to do is it's going to mean that my pattern starts at the beginning of my line, and that's how I'm relying on that to perfectly set up my symbol. So I've just selected the line and moved it so that now the short section, the first short section, fits perfectly in the center of my circles. I'm going to highlight it and copy and paste it, and then I'm going to use this little handle on the side, holding down my shift key to make it vertical, and then I'm going to click and drag it to here, and then I'm just going to position it so that it perfectly lines up. I think that's pretty good. Let me zoom in. I think that's about as, there you go. That's about as accurate as I'm likely to get it. I've now got this big extra section down here that I don't really need, so I'm just going to highlight it and drag it up until I've gotten rid of it. So there you go. Now I have a perfectly drawn orthogonal symbol. I'm going to get rid of my guides at this point. And then, because I'm going to want to be able to position this in my drawing without it all coming apart. If I try and do it now, it's not connected. So I'm going to select the whole thing, go to Object and Group. And now I can pick it up and move it around without upsetting my drawing. Okay, that's how to draw the orthogonal symbol.